So when you want to align shapes or other objects, it can get a little tricky. Now this looks pretty good where I've lined it up, but let me show you how I got there. So as I'm going, I'm going to kind of mess it up for a second. I made some different size boxes where I want to kind of have like a grid with different fill in the blanks within my Notepad design. So I can start by just aligning things. Like I can come over here. I've got my align panel open here. I've got these top two frames selected. I'm going to vertically align the top. And then maybe from there I'll kind of eyeball the rest of them and try to kind of move them into place. Or I'll take this column and align on the left edge. And then on this column, maybe I'll align on the right edge. But as you'll notice, I've got these margins that aren't very consistent. And while it looks, it might feel like I'm being really particular, even though it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, it makes a big difference. And so this is where design gets very tuned into details. So I want to make them spaced evenly between shapes, and I want the areas around, which are the margins, to be even and consistent, and I want all the gaps to be consistent. And there's a lot of different tools and ways you can do that. So one is I'm going to grab this column of shapes, and we want to use the distribute objects options. Now, if I were to distribute objects by the center, you'll notice that it's taking this point, the distance between these 2 points, and the distance between these 2 points, and making it the same. But because the shapes are different sizes, that doesn't space it evenly the way we want. So I'm going to Control Z, and I'm going to do distribute objects by top. And now you'll notice that those gaps are the same. I'm going to do the same thing here, vertical distribute just by the top. But there's only 2 objects, so that's not going to make much of a difference. But it's going to be a little tricky to see if we have these lined up exactly the same. So again, there's a lot of ways to do this, but what I also really like to do is put on the grid. And so the grid, to do that as a shortcut, it's just Control apostrophe, and that turns it on and off. Or you can also go up here to View, Hide Grid, or Show Grid down there. And the grid is nice. It's kind of hard to look at a lot, to have them all on there. But it's nice because you can go in and really, sometimes I just go in here and I count the squares, and I really zoom in, and I'll be like, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, almost a little over 3. So maybe I'll just make them all 3 squares apart so that everything's nice and consistent. And then I can go into here and do the 1, 2, 3, and just to help even everything out. So I'm going to go, let's start up here. So if this one is on, I'll show you how I can get kind of manic with this. So see the line? I'm just going to drop it right on the line there. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then drop this one on the line. And then go down. And this one isn't quite the right size. Let's make our lives easier. I'm going to make that box a little smaller. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 right there. I'm going to take this box over. Can I make these fit a size? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, friends. Put it right on there. So then this one, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now this might feel a little crazy, and it might be, but it makes a difference. So again, 1, 2, 3. And it's hard because the line is really thick, so you kind of see the path is lining up to the, you see that? And so we're getting a little bit closer to having it nice and consistent. I'm going to turn that grid off because it's kind of hard to see with it. I'm going to select all of these now, and I'm going to group it. And now while it's grouped, well, let's undo that for 1 second because I made that box smaller to be my friend. I'm going to do that now so it matches. I'm going to group this whole thing, and then I can align to the artboard and center it so that it's even on the two sides. I could go in and count the guys here and here if I wanted it to be even, but this is way more consistent than it was before. So those are just some tricks. Another great trick is to have your rulers on. So my rulers are on, but if I control R, they go away. So control R is turn on and off your rulers. And what you can do is you can click with your mouse inside the ruler, pull it down, and drop a guide. And that way too, you have something to line things up to. If you ever want to get rid of and you can do that from either side, to kind of give yourself a place to line things up. If you ever want to get rid of those or lock them or clear them and start over, there's a little ruler section under view. You can hide, guides. You can hide guides, you can lock your guides, or you can clear them. Right now they're not locked, so I could click on them and move them if I needed to adjust them. And so those are some great ways to kind of work with aligning and distributing using the grid and using guides to help you line things up.